Hey guys, so this is going to be a video on how to do graphs in Word to put in economics assignments or work that you may have. So first you're going to open up Word. So right here I'm using Word 365 or Microsoft Office Word 2013. They're both the same thing, or pretty much the same thing. Most of the features that I'll be using are present in both 2007, 2013, and Microsoft 365 versions of Office. So you should be okay with whatever version you have. So first I'm going to show you how to make just a general graph for aggregate demand, aggregate supply, or just simple demand and supply curves. So first you're going to go to Shapes. You're going to go to Insert, Shapes. And then you're going to click the little arrow. This is going to be your axes. So this can be a little tedious and annoying. I will show an alternate method to this, but first let's just learn this method. So you're just going to draw the y-axis straight up, and then you can see here I'm fiddling with the mouse here. It makes it easier if your mouse is a little less sensitive. So you're just going to try and line it up and just make sure the line is not blurry. It'll just lock into place and then let go of the click, and then it'll be in place. Then you're going to do it again. You're going to try and line it up and make it so the line is not blurry. So there you go. You have your axes. So this is tedious again. Like I said, it took me quite a while to do graphs. And while doing things like economics, you're gonna want to go quick. So this might not be the best method, but it is the neatest. So after this, if you don't want to use this method, there is another alternate method that you can use by just going to the internet and grabbing an axes template. So we can go to we can just type in graph axes, and there we go. You get simple XY axes. So I mean, you're gonna want to get a higher resolution axes. So just one moment. Okay, so I'm back with the image. So this is a higher resolution image, so I'm just gonna copy and paste it into Word. It may look quite small and tiny in resolution, but it's just scaling down. So you can do this, but we see that we have a lot of extra area around this these axes, so you're going to want to crop those out. So in 2013 or 365, you can simply right click and then crop, or otherwise if you have other versions, I suggest you just try to find the crop function and crop the graphs down. Just like that. And there you go, you have your axes. Now you see that we have these two different types of axes. So before starting to draw anything on your graph, you're going to want to do different things to each. So the first axes, we're going to group the two arrows. So as we can see that the arrows are completely disjointed and they're not together, and this can cause issues while trying to move the axes around in the dock. So to make things easier for you, just press Control and hold it on your keyboard and then click on the two arrows, just like that. And that will allow you to group the two arrows. So then you're going to right click on both of them, making sure to mouse over the arrow, and then scroll down to group and then group them. Now you can see that they're together, and you can resize them any way you want independently, not independently of each other. So that's quite easy if you get through the first initial hurdle of just making straight looking lines. With the image, what we're gonna have to do is, just to make things easier on you, you're gonna want to go to wrap text, right click, wrap the text, and then click any one of these. I just usually use tight, so it's tight with the text, and now you can move it around easily. And then if you can resize it just like that, just like the one above, though you do get a little bit of distortion in the image, as you can see here. like the arrowhead kind of just gets flattened as you move the image. Unlike this, where the arrowhead stays completely the same size. So now that we have that done, at this point you're pretty much ready to go with the normal axes, but with these axes you're going to want to do one last thing, and that's send it to the back of the page so that you can actually draw lines on it. So you're going to want to you're going to right click on it, send to back, and then click send to back. And now that should, in theory, allow you to draw things on it, just like that. So that's all. So for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just gonna get rid of these axes because I find it quite annoying. So yeah, I'm just gonna delete that, and that's the axes done. So next we'll actually learn how to draw the lines. So for standard ADAS or demand and supply graph, you're gonna go to shapes, you're gonna go insert shapes, and you're just gonna want the normal line. That's what you're gonna use. And also, if you don't like the thin lines, you can also do one more thing in 365 or 2013. You can go to format and then change the lines right here, and change the format of the actual line. So if you want a thicker line, you can choose a thicker line. Or in other versions of Word, you would have to right click on the actual shape, the grouped shape, and go to format object, and then you would have fill and line options here. So you would go to, if you want to change the color of the axes, if you want to change it to dashed or anything, or if you want to change the size of the line, you can do so here. But for now, we're going to leave it the same as it is here, and you're just going to simply go to shapes and then draw a demand curve line, whatever you want to call it. So that's your demand line done there. Now, if you want to create an identical supply curve, because you don't want to just go to shapes again and then draw like a wonky supply curve, unless you needed to. Maybe you wanted to do elastic or inelastic supply or demand, then you would probably need to draw a separate supply or demand curve. But if you want just the standard demand and supply and you want it to look neat, you're going to just click on the shape, format, and then you see this little thumbnail here, and you're going to go rotate. Oh, well, you're going to first copy it, I guess. So you're going to copy the line, and then you're going to go to format, rotate, and then rotate left 90 degrees. So now you have a perfectly identical supply curve. It's just that my axes weren't big enough. So yeah, sometimes you might get this issue, and you're just gonna have to adjust it to how you want it to be. Sometimes it just requires fiddling around. Sometimes it may not work, like how it did just there. It didn't work. It didn't make a perfect supply curve. But your best option is just to eyeball it. And chances are teachers are not going to recognize the really, really subtle differences in the shape of your curves. If it generally looks balanced, they'll probably think it is balanced, so it should be fine. Unless they're at extremes like this. There we can clearly see an inelastic supply, or like this, or demand rather, and then or like this, and you know that's an extreme. They can see that that's clearly elastic demand. So there you have your standard aggregate demand, aggregate supply, supplier demand curves. And that's pretty much it for that. So just do little tweaks if you need. And then you're also going to want to group these lines. So you're going to click on the first line, press Control, hold it, and click on the second line and group them. So now you can move it independently of each other. I mean independently, not independently of each other. Okay. Now, things such as text boxes are problems with this, because as soon as you draw a text box, it kind of goes over your lines, and they block your lines. So you never ever want to do that. You don't want the text box to block the line, because in print it's gonna obviously it's not gonna, the lines aren't gonna show through on print. So what you're gonna want to do before you use your text box, just type in edit. That's just a rule of thumb for me. And you're gonna want to format the shape. You're gonna go to fill, and you're gonna click no fill, or if you want a transparent fill, you can change the transparency of your fill. At least keep it at 80%, nothing lower than that, because it's not gonna show otherwise. So to demonstrate, see, if we go anything lower than 70, it starts to fade eventually, and the box becomes it blocks the line. So you're gonna want to keep it above 80 or 100. I just usually leave it at 100, or no fill. That's probably the best option. So do that first before using any of your text boxes. And if you're not doing a title box, you're gonna want to remove the line as well. So you would go to line here. It's under fill. You'd go no line, and then that will give you a free moving text box, text wherever you want to put it. So you can easily name this supply, and you can just simply copy paste that, so you don't have to reformat new text boxes, and then move it back down and rename that demand. And there you go. Those are neat text boxes that don't interfere with the lines. And you can shorten them down, because usually in graphs we just say D or S, S2, whatever, right? If you want to create shifts, it's pretty easy. So since we group this, you would think that you couldn't move the individual ones. You still can. You just have to mouse over the one you want and double click it. So now you can move it independently of each other, and if you let go, it'll regroup it, and you can move the whole thing together. So there's that option if you need it, but for the main purpose of that is to just copy the supply. So let's say we have a rightward shift of supply. We can just copy the single supply curve, Control V, all right, and just shift it. And usually the new Word 365 in 2013, they will align the lines for you. So and lock it as shown by the green lines. They'll auto center them for you, so you don't have to fiddle around with making perfect curves. So you can just make S2. So a common thing that people do is just do write S2 like that. That's fine. What I do is, just to make it a little bit professional looking, I press Control plus and just create a subscript. That's just easier to, that just looks nicer, and it looks a little bit more professional. It's completely up to you. It's personal preference, but I personally do that. So I do that for all the lines that I make. And I also recolor them, so you can just, double click on the line that you want. If it's in a group, just double click on the line and you can change the color here. Or go to format and change the color shadow, reflection, whatever you need. Here's the color, right? So that's your basic aggregate demand, aggregate supply, supply and demand curves graph. Other little inclusions, if you want to make them, include title. I haven't included the title, but you must do the same for the title. You must create a new text box, format the shape, and click no fill. But you can leave a box in if you wish, just to distinguish the title from the graph. Oh yeah, and the axes. So axes you would do in the similar way to these. You would, let's just copy and paste this for simplicity's sake. Resize it, and you would have your axes. Don't forget units. Okay, so then I would copy this, and for your y-axis you see the little rotating bar. You can rotate it and eventually it will lock like that, and then as you move it, and then when you begin to type, it'll rotate it horizontally again. Don't worry about that. That's just it turning to the side so it's easier for you to see, so you don't have to turn your head, you know, upside down or 90 degrees. That's all it is. Quantity and price, right? Yeah, price. Pardon my bad memory. All right. So then we have this. So there you go. There's your, and then your title, supply and demand for product A, let's say. So there you go. There's your finished graph. And then little inclusions include things like equilibrium points. You can just create little circles, and sometimes it's hard to see, so an easy editing trick that I do is just press Control and then use your scroll wheel and then scroll up, and then that'll automatically zoom, or you can use the zoom bar down here. I just find it more convenient to use the Control and the scroll wheel. So as you go in, you can get, you know, a little bit more control over where the dots go, so it's just easier for you to center the dots. And then another inclusion that you can do is lines. So horizontal lines, they're also a pain like the axes. So just make sure you get them pretty straight. And then as long as the line is not blurry, you should be fine. This is one of the problems in Word. I'm sure there is a way to do it, but this is pretty much the fastest way. You're just gonna have to fidget with it, and yeah, just work away at this. It does take a lot of work to make a neat looking graph, and I know some of us can be quite lazy at this, but you're just gonna have to bear with it and create neat graphs. So you can group them. These are just indicator lines, and I failed. And then you can group them, and then you can make them dashed. You can go to a format object, you can dash them. There you go. And then obviously you can insert arrows like so. And that would be our completed graph. So this tutorial will be long and tedious because it does take a while to make neat looking graphs. Unfortunately, but it'll all be worth it in the end. It'll make it easier on the teacher, make it easier for your IB markers, everyone. And then if you want, you could add little mini, P1, P2, S1, or Q1, Q2 here. I'm not going to get into that because this tutorial is already too long and you're probably sleeping. So that's your standard supply and demand, aggregate supply, aggregate demand. So now what we're going to do is we're going to simply delete everything, get back to our normal graph, get back to our normal axes. I know it was a lot of work and we're deleting all of this, but it's okay, I assure you, don't cry. Because I'm going to show you how to do a different type of graph. Because there are, the world of economics is more than just straight lines. I'm going to show you how to do PPC and curvy, like any curves that you may want to do in a graph will be shown in this. So first, obviously, if you want to start out, I don't have a method or an order. We can just go in any order. So let's just get the boring stuff out of the way. Production. So PPC is your production possibility. This is one of the ones where possibility. This is one of the ones where you need curved lines, not just straight lines. So production possibility, frontier, PPF or PPC, production possibility curve, right? That's the one you want. For product A or and B. So let's say that's your title. I'm going to insert my axes. Oops. There you go. Alright, so now that the axes are done, I will show you how to draw the shape. Okay, so you're going to go to Insert, Shapes, and you're going to find the arc line. So I'm not sure about older versions of Word, but 2013, 2007, and 365 should have this this curve. So don't draw it, because if you do click and drag, like if you actually try to draw it, you're gonna get these weird curves, which you might want. So if you want like different quantities of the products, and you want different shape production possibility frontier, you might want to click and drag. But if you want like a clean, neat, just some quarter circle kind of arc, you're just gonna click on Insert, Shapes, and Arc, and you're simply just gonna click once, and there you go. You have a simple, nice, clean arc, and you're just gonna increase the size very, very carefully. It is gonna move and shift a little. This is how I do it. I just kind of fiddle with it, and there you go. So more or less a clean arc for your production possibility. And that's pretty much it for that. If you want to maybe create an outward shift, you would control copy, and you could make, let me zoom out, and increasing size. and you're just gonna wanna keep at it. Make sure you don't increase it, or you don't veer off too much with the mouse. So it is a little bit kind of, you know, eyeballing it, but that's pretty much the most convenient way. It might be a little tedious, but in the end, it gets me my results, and I'll get you your results. Just take a little bit of time and put some love into your graphs. So you can do the same things what we did with the previous graph. We can change the thickness of the line, the color of the line, anything you want, and you do the whole, and then you do the same text box routine. Get the text box, you type in edit so you don't lose that text box and you don't know where you left it, because sometimes that happens. Format shape, no fill, no line, and then you have your text box. You know, and you just name it PPC1. Control C, just copy that because it makes it easier. Sometimes when you copy it, it might be right over, so you just click on it and drag it. You know, it's an inconvenience, but there you go. And PPC2, that's it. And there you go. There you have your nicely labeled graphs. So make sure you do the text box, because I've seen many graphs. I've done it before, where the boxes aren't neat and I just get lazy, and then they're over the line, and then the teacher can't see the line, and then obviously you don't get marks for that. So just put a little bit of time and care into your graphs, and then you should be getting those marks. So we'll just do one more example other than PPC. Did the axes. I forgot. Sorry. Okay. So we'll just leave the axes as is. I don't want to change anything. You can do other lines, like if you want to do free kind of like free curved lines instead of the exact arc. You can try using the what is it actually called? The curve tool. So you're gonna let's say you want to do something like a J curve. You learn that later in macroeconomics. If you're in microeconomics right now, it's a macroeconomic concept, or an international economics concept. Sorry, and you know, to do like something like a J curve, you would just click on the line, draw like a demand line. You would draw a small demand line, a curve, and you would click, and then it'll immediately make an arc, and then you can move your mouse, and there you have a J curve. And then you click once more, and then you just click you click once more, and you just press escape, and then you should have your J curve. There you go. That's how you make different types of lines in Word. So thank you guys. This has been EXTD Tech, doing a tutorial on how to make economic graphs in Word neatly. Thank you.
Love you.